Good morning, and thank you for hosting us today. I am Marilyn Peterson, and a volunteer at Control Canino, the municipal shelter in San Miguel de Allende. This is Nacho Libre. I rescued him from Control Canino last August. Nacho has a few things he would like to say, but first I'd like to introduce you to an important topic, San Miguel's beautiful street dogs. The Mexican street dog actually has pedigree and carries not a pool, but an ocean of genes and swirling currents, mixing morphological characteristics of terrier, Labrador, Spaniel, Poodle, German Shepherd, Pit Bull, Boxer, Cattle Dog, Doberman Dachshund, Bensenji, which is African, Beagle, Husky, Ridgeback, and Vizsla. Mexican street dogs are the best of the best and deserve dignity, love, compassion, and respect. Right, Nacho? Now you have nothing to say? Cat got your tongue? Oh, gosh. Now, Nacho actually has no voice in this matter at all. But he knows what it's like to be scooped off the street away from his home and family. Nacho knows what it's like to be afraid, disoriented, and caged in a cool wire enclosure with other traumatic dogs as neighbors. Nacho knows what it is like to be a captive for days without any outlet or exercise. Nacho knows what it is like to watch neighbors come and go, sacrificed within 10 days because of policy and lack of housing. So time is of the essence when we do our work. It sounds pretty bleak. However, because of Crystal Calderoni and her dedicated volunteers, the times and the culture at Canino Control, they are a-changin'. Because of Yo Amo Animalitos. Because of Crystal and her volunteers, Nacho experienced love and care and nutritious kibble topped with homemade chicken soup. Because of Crystal and her volunteers, Nacho experienced walks on the grounds and relieved himself on every blade of grass. Because of Crystal and her volunteers, Nacho experienced attention, affection, kindness, a clean cage, and a soft blanket, and a cold Tanaka for comfort and warmth. Nacho knew he was saved by the hairs on his chinny chin chin, along with his cellmate, Tina Turner, who now lives with our gardener and plays soccer with his sons. Those who must be sacrificed because of lack of space or in poor health are now treated with the dignity, respect, and love that they deserve in their final days. Nacho knows a lot, but as you can see, he has no voice in this matter. However, because of the bold and courageous woman of Crystal Calderoni and her compassionate volunteers, Nacho knows that she bears witness and provides a powerful voice for those who cannot speak. So who is Crystal Calderoni? Crystal has been a local community leader since she and her iconic mother, painter Mary Calderoni, left Venezuela to study art at the Bellas Artes and the Instituto in the 1970s. Crystal graduated from the University of Texas in Austin with honors, earning a public relations degree and with a focus on journalism. Crystal wrote for the TV show Hollywood Insider and worked with celebrities such as Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Willis, Pat Sajak, Bobby Brown, George Michael, Peter Fonda, Jodie Foster, and Harry Hamlin, just to name a few. Always open to new experiences, Crystal became an actor, cabaret singer, stunt double, international certified fitness trainer, and aerobics instructor. After relocating permanently from Costa Rica in 2005, she assisted her parents with their bed and breakfast Casa Calderoni. Crystal then chose to become a realtor, working with major brokers, beginning with Coldwell Banker and recently Sotheby's. Her first dog rescue, Sita, was the inspiration for rescuing an amazing 150 dogs and turned her sights to Control Canino in July of 2022. At an awards ceremony held at the Angela Peralta in November, Crystal's NGO received a first place award as a new emerging NGO, whereas Lee Carter was recognized as Philanthropist of the Year at that event, so we travel with generous and giving people. Without further ado, please join Nacho and I welcoming Crystal Calderoni, the voice.
That was incredible. I don't think I can talk after that speech. I don't know if I should cry. I do have my Kleenex here just in case. We don't know what's going to happen when I'm at the podium. So thank you, Nacho. Muchas gracias, Woof Woof. Okay. So I'm going to start. There we go. So the title of my talk today is Street Dogs Matter. Had my Brazilian rainforest shaman predicted a year ago that I would become a guest speaker for the Midday Rotary Club, I would have told him to drink some more ayahuasca. If my angel guide reader divined that I would be the ambassador to the street dogs of San Miguel de Allende, working under the direction of Mauricio Trejo and his municipal government, I would have said, "No way, Jose," but the evidence still shows that miracles can still happen. Okay, so now that's good. Or had I known in September, next, there we go, that I would have to choose between the opportunity of a lifetime dream job to sell exclusive real estate while I was surfing on the coast of Oaxaca versus working with the volunteers and the dogs, I would have said, oh my God, I gotta get a reality check. Next. So who would you choose? But checking into the present on a continual basis is what really has afforded me this grace and opportunity to present my project. Next. Yo amo animalitos, SMA, which has been nothing but a waking dream and a blessing mixed with joy and, of course, sorrow. Next. The mission of Yo Amo Animalitos is to protect, advocate, and provide care, comfort, and compassion. Next. This is going to be easy. All right. For neglected, abandoned, or abused animals who are housed at Control Canino. Next. Until they are fostered or adopted. Next. Hopefully before their 10-day expiration date is over. Next. He adopted 4 dogs in 1 week. Amazing. So we can hold it here. We strive to make physical improvements, as you can see, deserving of a world-class, I gotta flip this, and deserving of a world-class city, and to work on solutions to greatly reduce animal homelessness and unnecessary animal sacrifice. Next. On board are many talented and passionate volunteers, so we can switch. Next. Click. Everything that can happen, technically with computers and with, always happens with me. I have static electricity. That's why I almost brought my computer today. So this is, it's not baffling to me. It's the way I've been rolling. And I feel sorry for people that have to work with me in work situations because this stuff happens all the time. Anyways, we'll see if we can get that group shot. Not yet. Okay, I'm fine. I can ad-lib all day long. I feel sorry for you. So while we're waiting for that, so I just wanted to talk about the volunteers we have. On board are many talented and passionate volunteers from all walks of life, animal groups and organizations in San Miguel de Allende who are finally collaborating in legislative efforts and strategic partnerships here, throughout Mexico, and also in the United States. Next. We recognize that caring for those without voices helps strengthen our community through compassion, and in turn is important to tourism and our economy. Can we go back? Because I really want to highlight the volunteers. I can't name, there we go. This is just one day of volunteer work. So I want you to know that I have to cast like a short film 3 times a week in order to get 10 to 14 people to show up. There's 104 people at this particular point that are on my database that I haven't finished, but we have a whole group of Mexicans, Americans, children, and everybody does sign a waiver and liability release form. That's very important that everybody knows. Other government bureaucracy that's involved, but that's easy and we'll get through that. Okay, so we can just move forward a little bit past my guardian angels, and we should be on slide 15. So there we go. Now this is great because I'm so excited. In October, when Senor Trejo was here, he gave this speech and he basically admitted what we're doing as a group to turn Centro Control de Canino into an animal refuge, as you will see by this video clip. Thank you.
And now we have dogs refugee. Is that right? Refugio de perros? Refuge, shelter, center, refuge. Now it's happening. Now it's happening. Everything because of the pressure that the ONGs puts on the mayor, not in the presidencia, that puts on the mayor, in my Facebook, in my WhatsApp, and now it's working fine, but I was very clear to them, I'm going to make the infrastructure, I'm going to pay the guys that are going to be in charge, and that are going to take the actions that you, ONG, tells them to do. But if an animal needs to be sacrificed after he's not adopted, it needs to be done. So they are doing their best in order to put those dogs into adoption, and I'm doing my best in order to hold the time in which we have to put him to sleep. And we have been very successful on that. Animals have rights too, you know. And I know some of you might be thinking,
First time to admit that.
Yeah, but no, you were a hunter. But that's not an issue. I am what I am. I'm talking about what we are doing. And now the dogs in San Miguel de Allende have better chances. And everything because of the ONGs. So thanks again, Sofia. Okay.
Thank you to our local mayor, Senor Trejo, or none of this would be a reality. Anyway, so in this video clip, it shows his support to transform the dilapidated facilities. This is what I want to show you into an animal refugio. This is a typical day at Control Canino without the support of our community and the funds. Anyway, so we're going to play this video next. Thank you. This is Hannah Hawk. She's wearing the cowboy hat, and she's in charge of our Facebook presence, and I couldn't do this without her, and so I just wanted, some of you probably have heard.
This is the kind of cages that we have at Centro Control de Camino. This dog is stuck. He's been crying, thanks to Hannah. You know, we don't know how many dogs actually choke when they're in here, but we need money and we need funding and donation money for us to be able to remodel. Okay?
So it's just one cage.
So unfortunately,
We're just playing it again. All right. So I think what's really important for people to know is that on June 8th is when kind of like this whole mission became possible. That's when I had a presentation for Senor Trejo, and he immediately allowed me to supervise the daily activities at Control Canino, and he also allocated, this is important, 1.3 million pesos, as you heard him say, to finish the construction and the infrastructure, and also to be able to upgrade the cages and to help the dogs. Unfortunately, none of those funds came to the support of the dogs, and all of those went to build a low-cost healthcare vet center, which I'll show you in a second. Yo Amo Animalitos is 100% fully funded by private donations, and I take 10% out of all my real estate commissions in order to make the necessary improvements possible. I just want you to see, this is when the volunteers were there in 2012, they actually were the ones that built a latrine. And as you can see, this latrine is filled with a deluge of excrement, because the way that the employees have been taught to clean up the bodily waste fluids of these dogs is to get a water hose and just to shove everything into the back of the cages. So this is just a deluge of what is there every single day, like a river runs through it. And so I'm trying to get the government right now to be able to provide the necessary efforts, because this is a really, really toxic environment, not only for the dogs, but for the employees and the volunteers who are there. Okay, so enough of that. Okay, I also wanted to talk about the extra land that you're going to see. Where we are presently, where Control Canino is housed, is government-donated land, but this particular land was the work and the visionary of Arno Naumann. He was an esteemed vet for Amigos y Animales, who unfortunately passed away. He was an ardent supporter of animal rights, and whose vision was to provide a dedicated oasis for the dogs housed at Control Canino, where they would receive immediate vet care. And now we can move to the next slide. Surgery and private rooms for sterilizations and euthanasia. I really want to honor this selfless human being to the best of my abilities by carrying out his vision and really delivering his dream. Because a lot of people in San Miguel think that the extra land is the government-owned land, even a lot of government officials. And I just want to state for the record that that was privately donated by this generous, selfless human being that I had the good fortune to work with for many years. And Amigos y Animales. So anyways, that is where the 1.3 million pesos has gone into, the other vet clinic that you saw. Okay, so you might want to know, how the heck did I get here? In September 2011, while I was in San Francisco coming back from Burning Man, my dog Vaquito was snatched off of my front porch by Control Canino. My dog and house sitter at the time went to Control Canino, which at that time was located next door to the old slaughterhouse on Calzada de la Estación. Can you imagine having those squeals and having those noises all day long and the vibrational frequency? So glad that they've moved it. That's not where it's located today. After exhausting all rescue efforts, I decided to return to Control Canino with my mother for one last-ditch effort, and it was a reunion I will never forget. When we saw my dog, I'm not kidding you, this was like out of a Disney movie. My dog did 25 laps around us. After 17, I started crying. I almost wet my pants. I couldn't believe it. And the cool thing is that the employee that was there witnessed the love and the devotion between animals and their owners, which I thought was really important to state. I wondered why we didn't see my dog on 2 previous attempts, and why this employee didn't merely call the ID tag, because he was wearing a collar, as you can see in the second photo. This employee actually confessed to me, since he was so handsome, that the employees at Control Canino were parading my dog around the block, trying to sell him for 400 pesos. Yes, and then when I asked him, well, why didn't you call the number on the idea? You could have reunited us quickly and I wouldn't have had to leave my trip and spend a bunch of money to come see my dog so quick. And his answer was, sometimes it takes too long for us to figure out if somebody's moved or their cell phone numbers change. And I said, and how many seconds out of your day would that have taken you to pick up the phone and to call me? So when I knew, for those 2 reasons, I just wanted to say, those became the catalyst where the birth of my passion was born, because I recognized that this was a really una sistema quebrada. It was a broken system and it needed to be healed. Okay, we can move on. Fast track to the present. So a friend, mentor, and dog rescuer, Vicki Moore, some of you might know her, she was the impetus for me to become a volunteer at Control Canino. The experiment with volunteers at the present shelter was short-lived, eventually eliminated by internal politics. Since 2013, there was no bedding or shelter. Next. That's what the old bodegas look like for the puppies. There was no gesture of love or kindness, no exercise, no understanding of who was a stray or a devoted pet, and no ability to reunite heartbroken owners with their furry family members. For 9 long, frustrating years, I continually hit brick walls with the other administrations until, click, Senor Trejo was reelected as our mayor. With regained optimism, I gained momentum through social media, fighting for the rights of these animals with multiple videos on Instagram and Facebook. And finally, Trejo opened the door, and finally my NGO, Yo Amo Animalitos SMA, was born. Next. What are the benefits of volunteering at a shelter, you might ask, in case you've never worked at a shelter? So since July, 3 shifts of Earth Angel volunteers visit Control Canino every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We have rescued over 160 dogs to date with Control Canino. Next. Working at a shelter where dogs are held for 10 days only can be a tough reality, as we know. However, extremely rewarding, especially with Hannah Hawk by your side. Switch. So these were these are some of the tiger chihuahuas that we adopted. And now we can switch to the next slide. And this again, so it's a natural benzodiazepine if you want to come and volunteer with the dogs. You don't have to take antidepressants, I promise. Because 90% of these amazing dogs are lost family pets, and that's what the vet has told us. They're really unclaimed. Some of them have collars, some of them don't have collars, some of them are completely trained. They can shake, they can sit, they can heel, and it is a little devastating when you see that. And unfortunately, others are brought in and paid to euthanize their pets because they can no longer afford to take care of them. As the next slide, or they're no longer wanted. There we go. This was a very malnourished dog who's been adopted by Brittany, who runs the Instagram page for us. And I've seen on several occasions when people are heartbroken and crying because they don't have the necessary funds to provide medical care for their dogs, and they have tumors and cancer. And that's why I would like to raise money. I would like to have that type of benefit for some people that can't afford to take care of their dog and have to bring them in and sob with me on the side of the sidewalk when they're at Control Canino. Puppies come in by the pickup truckloads. Switch. There you go. That's my... Some days we see abused, injured, and fearful beings, which are consoled, and some are put out of their misery. Others are quickly assessed for adoption, and then the race is on to shout to the world through a network of social media volunteers and, of course, through word of mouth. Who is available? Pronto. Switch. So the animal community is building relationships and friendships with each other and other animal welfare organizations. Mutual benefits and a cultural shift is taking place as we endeavor to provide a higher quality of life for these desperate animals. And that's when Mauricio came to Control Canino on December the 8th. And that's Naomi Lawyer, who has been a great contributor and donator. So I just wanted to put her out there as well. Thank you. Switch. Spending time with dogs has proven to enhance both cognitive health and physical well-being. You have to move more. You have to get out in the fresh air, toss a ball, walk to coffee with a devoted companion dedicated to your every need. No more loneliness or depression or isolation. You're one of the pack and better off for it. Saving a life is no small deed. There is an upside to the downside of what we fight to protect and preserve, because every life matters, even yours. Switch. Which is why so many of us love living here in San Miguel, because we're surrounded by neighbors and visitors with open minds and open hearts. San Miguel de Allende, as we all know, is one of the most desirable cities to live in the world, and it is increasingly being promoted as pet-friendly. So building a humane animal refuge enables us to reap the benefits of the quality of life, which we uphold with standards and integrity, elevating our UNESCO World Heritage status. Next. I just wanted to talk about the progress report that we've made in the last 5 months since we started this. So these are 2 playpens that are 60 by 16 meters wide and deep, which have now been completed. That way you can see that the dogs are now allowed to socialize and be observed. Before, they were just left in cages for 10 days, and they're very cold cages with no ability to have any dignity or rights. So they are just loving it. So that's what our first NGO funds went to. We've also been remodeling the puppy cages. We have operations and medical bills for foster dogs that we're taking care of. Next. We have higher quality dry dog food and home cooked meals. I'm telling you, the employees that are there are so jealous of the dogs. Because it's like Thanksgiving 3 times a week. I kid you not, right? I mean, the amount of home cooking, this is like turkey jerky, and then we have deboned chicken. A lot of times we have beef broth, chicken broth, vegetables, and so these dogs love to eat because they don't get to eat the kind of food that's provided to them at Control Canino. Also, if you look in the background, can you see that like white vinyl, which is called a lona in Spanish? Those are really important. I wanted to just say Hope is also a really big donator. Hope Haywood Bolin, who came here today to support our cause. She paid for all of these, and it's really important because these provide, the dogs become very anxious because they're basically in solitary confinement. So a lot of times they chew, and they chew through the cyclone fence, and it's really sad to see the amount of blood and teeth that are lost, and then there's no medical care there. So I just wanted you to see that those wind protectors are extremely important also during the cold. And speaking of wind protectors, we also make this a boutique hotel experience for these guys because we actually clean the laundry. My water bills have gone up 3 times the amount, and I think my dryer is almost on its last rung. Anyways, we do have bedding, sheets, blankets, and comforters, and we have certain laundry shifts where we take those to a laundromat or we clean those. So another thing that's really important, and there's not a picture, not yet, upright canvassing beds from Amazon are super important. Naomi has purchased almost all of those. Again, when I mentioned earlier that there's really no training for the employees there, so when they're washing that water hose, and so the dogs' paws are freezing, and a lot of dogs have sweaters that Hope has also generously donated for Christmas. But with these stand-up canvas beds that you can order from Amazon, the dogs have another layer in which they can just elevate themselves so they're not completely wet during the winter months. We also like collars and leashes because that's super important because we're walking the dogs. Okay, so now we can go to the next slide, which is our ongoing goals, which are rescue and our adoptions. We have now rescued in conjunction with Control Canino, as I mentioned earlier, over 160 dogs. You can see the dates that we started. We came here in July. And so you can see that the numbers are rapidly increasing for the amount of dogs that we're able to get out of there in the shortest period of time possible. Remember, the dogs are only there for 10 days. So it's a battle to be able to find people to adopt a dog before their expiration date is over with. Also, we have completed on social media our Facebook and Instagram presence, which is the same name that you have on your little postcards. Yo amo animalitos, SMA. We've applied and approved for the new ONG, which is the same thing as NGO in Spanish, which will be active in 180 days. 2 days ago, I received our 501c3 status in the United States, so we are rocking and rolling for those people that want to make larger tax-deductible donations. Okay, switch. These were the annual deaths, so you can see that before we started, 115 is a lot. I would say that they put down between 15 to 20 dogs a week before we came in. It's an unfortunate reality, but it's the only way that we can really curb animal homelessness in San Miguel, unfortunately. So our future goals, to be completed this year, there we go. This is the very first goal that I have because we've kind of run nil with all the other remodeling that we've done right now. So I would love to be able, and we will, we're going to increase the outside areas so that all 14 cages will have outdoor runs so the dogs can be able to move freely, lay out in the sun, enjoy themselves, and not be as anxious as they were. They're going to be able to just have better protection from the elements. At the present situation, the cages are falling apart and the dogs suffer, as you saw, when they can't pry their heads out of the cyclone fence holes, which they chew too much, as I said, from being in solitary confinement. The total budget, and I've had 3 different presupuestos, or bids, is about $12,000. I don't think that's a lot of money to be able to raise to be able to finalize what I'd like to do here. We also, I'm going to just type, everything will be written out so it's much easier to see. This is just not that important. It's just telling you about the kind of steel, the kind of reinforcement of the Maya and the cyclone fence. We can kind of move on. You can see that those are actually, it says 6, but they're actually divided in 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. And you can see that that's where they're housed currently. And look at all that land. It's just land that hasn't been used, which is really sad. And that is the land that belongs to the government. So we can move on. All right, so we need to remodel the bodega and add an additional bathroom. Believe it or not, there's no bathrooms there. Can you imagine squatting and having to have a toilet paper roll every time that you need to take care of yourself? That is the way the employees have been treated this entire time. So I would like to either have an outhouse or be able to have fun so that I can build an additional bathroom to put on the other side of the bodega. In the next 30 days, my biggest goal, and it has been my goal for 9 years, there is no web presence on San Miguel .governor.mx. So when people lose their dogs, what do? They don't know where to find them. If I could get our web presence on our website, or at least for the time being, have our Facebook presence, then we can reunite, obviously, these furry animals with their rightful owners. The next 120 days, complete a business and strategy plan. The next 120 days, complete a policy and procedure manual, and that is specifically for the employees that are there under the guidance of their vet. There is no standard policy procedure manual, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to work with Mauricio to do that. Because he's told me before that his priorities are really not dogs. His priorities are children that are impoverished, that don't have water and don't have shoes, and have to walk 2 to 5 kilometers every day without shoes just to have a gallon of water, if they're lucky to get that. Usually 1 liter is what they get. And he made that very clear to me at the very first meeting. So that's what I'm saying. There is some bureaucratic red tape that we have to cross, and we have to tread lightly. Okay, so we can move on. Sterilization campaigns, we know, are the most important things because we would like to buy a mobile truck. This is in the future with our big U.S. funds that will come, so we can work with the government. They've got cars that break down all the time. Also, Sotheby's said that they would be more than willing to sponsor the sterilization campaigns with big banners, or any other real estate agency that's willing to do that and step up. So we have formed an NGO in the United States, and that's because we want to partner with the Bark Ball. Do you know what the Bark Ball is? The Bark Ball is a black tie gala in which everybody is allowed to bring their dogs with them to the table, as long as they don't sit at the chair next to them. And it's a vegetarian meal. It takes 6 months to prepare. It's never been done in San Miguel. We are lucky because we have someone named Terry Galvez, who actually is from Washington, D.C., and is very, very well mixed with politicians. And she's the one that said that she would love to be able to help our group to be able to take flight with Mauricio Trejo. So we're really, really happy to have her. But obviously we need to have more funding, and that's how we can do it through the Bark Ball. Here's upcoming benefits and concerts. Very grateful that Sandra Cisneros is going to have a fundraiser. Johnny Favorite, we've had ongoing Moonlight Serenade concerts. Becky Millward, who's one of my best friend's mothers and a painter, she's going to do that. And now Kelly West is with Design House San Miguel next year, is donating all of her funds to Yohard Animalitos. So super excited for that. And I just wanted to end this speech before we start doing the Q&A is with a Gandhi quote that most of you already know. And then we have a video just to kind of complete that. So let's see where we are. We lost the video, we lost the connection. So everybody knows the Gandhi quote about the way that a society and its moral progress can be judged by the way that its animals are treated. And I say that the more helpless a creature is, the more entitled it is to the protection by man from the cruelty of mankind. I want you to see, this is my first day of volunteering, and we're not allowed to take pictures or videos there, but I kind of bend the rules, and I did take a video of this dog that I removed from the premises. This was in 2012, 2013. I don't know if you can hear my voiceover on this. I don't know where the audio is. It's very dramatic with the audio. This was a dog that had distemper and that had actually died the day that I removed the dog in my car and took it to vet from Control Canino. Unfortunately, things haven't really changed. How would I say this in a politically correct answer? Things have changed, but still animals are in these dire situations. So,
unfortunately, the dog died on the way over here to the vet, and now he's in the morgue, so we were with him capturing the last seconds of his life back in the camioneta. May his soul rest in peace.
anyways, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed learning about Control Canino, San Miguel's refuge for lost and abandoned animals. And it has been a great pleasure speaking for you today and also presenting my NGO. Thank you to all the generous Rotarians for your time and for the ability to listen to my presentation. So I'm assuming that people have questions for me.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. We have time for just a couple of questions, so.
Hi, this topic touches me a lot because I have a dog that it's like my son, right? And if he will go and disappear, I will go straight to this place, but that's because I'm Mexican. So I want to ask you, what is the process for adopting a dog in this place? Because we need to spread the word.
Perfect, thank you so much. The process right now is you need to go to our Facebook page, which is Yo Amo Animalitos SMA. So Hannah Hawk and other volunteers, the days that we're volunteering between 10 and 1, she takes all the pictures, she starts writing short stories about every single dog. We immediately publish them, and that is how the majority of our audience is finding their dogs. Right now, because we don't have that website presence, and there's really no phone at Control Canino. The phone is at the municipal buildings, which aren't attached. So it makes it virtually impossible. The employees that are there have no idea what the inventory is with the dogs that we're working with.
One more. Anyone? I want to tell everyone that up on our website, I'm going to leave her guest speaker page still up. You can put questions there. I'll make sure that any questions that you put on the website today, I'll get them to Crystal, because I know there will be some questions that come up. Thank you, Crystal, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we have a special gift for Crystal that she'll remember us by, and we will certainly remember her. So
Thank
remember
you.
the street dogs.
Gracias.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.